We must talking of things not being in one piece. Hurricane Milton has caused billions of dollars of damage to the US state of Florida. At least 16 people have died after 120-mile-an-hour winds, rain and tornadoes wreaked havoc. So in St Petersburg near Tampa, a stadium had the roof taken off. And we can have a look now. It was, I gather, a sort of more of a temporary structure, that stadium. So a crane there smashed into the building, you can see. Alligators were then spotted in floodwaters, which reached up to 10 feet. Around 2.5 million people are still without power. Hundreds have been rescued, thankfully. And you can see a sea rescue there with the Coast Guard lifting to safety a man clinging onto a cooler 30 miles out to sea. Priorities. Look at that. He's managed to get his beer out with him, and they're thankfully rescuing him. The Sheriff's Department in Hillsborough County made this dramatic rescue of a 14-year-old boy stranded on floating debris. So all in all, I think we can say it was a bit of a let-off, Mike, compared to what we thought it might do.
Well, that's the report from overnight, but when you see the aerial pictures of the damage, to describe that as a let-off is unbelievable. You know, huge areas devastated. You wonder sometimes, why do people still live in Florida when this sort of thing happens so regularly?
I don't understand it. I quite agree.
Yeah.
Because you could be evacuated at any time.
Absolutely. Why do people in America still live in California when every year there are bushfires which burn down hundreds of houses and all that? And the answer is because the benefits of living in America outweigh even these natural disasters.
Really? I'm not persuaded on that. What about you, Stella?
Like, what an insane thing to say, Mike. Like, what are you suggesting? That millions of people are going to leave their homes because of the extreme weather conditions?
Yes.
Which
that's exactly what he's
the rest of the world. Yeah, this is literally like, that is insane. I mean, I'm not even saying that for, people who live on tiny Greek islands where you have like fires every summer and, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Like, California is massive. Florida is massive.
Yeah.
They have the same, they're bigger than multiple European countries.
That's
if
right.
you put them all at once.
But Mike's point is, why, look at this truck that's been blown up. Why would you live somewhere, Stella, where almost every year you've got a wild weather warning?
One, because you were born there, but two, I do agree with you on that one, Mike, actually, because America is such an amazing land of opportunity and there are so many good things.
You would rather be American, both of you?
Well, I've lived in America and worked there. I'd rather be British, but I have a great admiration for the country. But this time next year, a lot of that damage will have been rebuilt and repaired. They're incredibly resilient, the Americans, and they rebuild their communities very quickly.
Let's speak to Malcolm Mully, who's a British man who went to visit his girlfriend in Tampa, ended up helping strangers protect themselves from the hurricane. Hi, Malcolm. So I'm glad you're okay. I mean, Tampa sounds like it was the worst place to be in a way.
Yeah, it was frightening. But hi, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on the show today. Yes, it was worrying. But thankfully, we're relieved today that, Tampa or Newport Richey wasn't as badly as hit as they expected.
I was amazed when I think the governor of Florida said, if you stay in your homes, you will die. It was that brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was very, very frightening. But I think leaving at that point was because I arrived on Saturday and I was in Tampa in the Hyatt. So we evacuated there on the Tuesday. And we really didn't have that much time to kind of decide. But when we had decided, it was better to leave. The roads were chock-a-block. There was no petrol in the stations. There was no cash in the ATMs. So it was really kind of weighing up the pros and cons of staying and boarding up where we were. Thankfully, I had some friends and kind of just went to them really.
I know you were really helpful to a couple of people in particular. You boarded up the windows of a pensioner, did you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was a neighbour. She actually lost her husband. She's in her 70s. She lost her husband 2 months ago. So she was on her own. She was frightened. Obviously just come through Hurricane Helene as well. So, yeah, I'm glad that she was safe.
And also an 89-year-old man who didn't want to leave.
No, he didn't. Good old Ron. He's actually British, and he's just hard as nails. He was fantastic. I mean, but he was content. He just, Malcolm, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't need to go anywhere. He uses a walking frame. So, you know, he was happy to stay there and ride it out. He didn't think it was going to be that bad, and thankfully he was right. But his son Jimmy was actually visiting from Manchester. He arrived on Friday. His wife Edna, they were both absolutely petrified. You know, but we were able to unite them, and they stayed together. And I think there is strength in numbers. You know, if anything, just for the emotional support. So yeah, I'm glad that we were able to get out there and try and help as many people as we could.
Thank you, Malcolm, very much indeed. I'm glad you're okay and heading back to the UK on Monday, I gather. Cheers.
I am, yeah. Can I just say a really big thank you to all of my colleagues at Elizabeth Schiebauer. They were fantastic. They really supported me throughout, and a big special thanks to Matt as well.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Malcolm.